I'm starting this new chapter where I'm really going to be finding the best version of who I am, and not the best version of who I was with Steven or with my past traumas even before Steven, outside of being a mom, outside of being a career woman, outside of writing a book, outside of this. Like, who am I out? Who am I just existing right now? Our anniversary weekend was right before everything happened. And it's so interesting when I look back, because now there are little signs, but when we were in the moment, everything was beautiful. We had chose to go stay in Laguna Beach, and we chose that because Weslie was having a soccer tournament out there, and we wanted to go see her, and everything was blissful, and we were watching, the soccer games and eating room service and going to have drinks together and going to museums. We bought a sculpture together, and everything was great. We drove there, and then we drove home, and I had no clue. And I think that's the confusion that I've always been left with, because I'm not gonna have closure, my kids aren't gonna have closure, because it's very confusing when you think everything's wonderful. But then then you look back and you're like, oh, maybe that was a sign. But that's also still something I'm still trying to process and understand myself, which is why therapy is wonderful. But for real, it's interesting, because there were no signs at that moment for me. I didn't know. And even the days coming home, I remember when we got home, we made a dance video. There was a dance video that he actually wanted to do. We wanted to do it I think it was like either every Sunday or every Monday before Christmas as a family. And we did it. And I was reading a story to my kids that night, and we had dinner, and there weren't signs. Weslie is so strong, but having someone say last words to you that you didn't really process at the time as being anything wrong, as dramatic as she had to deal with the words that I believe it was, I wanted to be your Superman, or I wish I could be your Superman. That's really hard to hear, especially as a teenager, and look back on everything. And she still goes to that same school where he dropped her off and said those words. But I'm also really proud of her for sticking it through and facing it every single day when she goes to school. And she handles it with far more grace than she should have to. But we took the steps to really help her and communicate with her and make her feel seen and heard in it. And I think she also sees those words as something beautiful and also ugly. It's a battle that she's gonna always have with herself, but I know she can see it for both sides. When I would think about my husband at the time, I would think, oh, I love that tWitch is such a great performer, but then when he comes home, he feels safe enough to be Steven. tWitch was extremely extroverted. Steven was introverted. tWitch loved to be the light in everyone's lives, and then Steven liked to hide away. Those are very two different personalities that were battling each other any given day. And we would talk about that in interviews, that he very much admitted that was going on. And I think as I was with him for so long, and that's how he's been the entire relationship, I was like, it's a beautiful thing that he can be both. But then when you start stepping away from the new fact of what's happened, I look at that, I was like, wait, what if I would have made him feel safe, or with therapy, he could have felt safe to be him all the time? And what if he felt safe being this one individual that has different kind of energies, but you don't have to be a completely different person and put them aside from each other? I wish in that part of my life with him that he would have felt comfortable asking for help, wanting to go to therapy, wanting to talk to his friends or loved ones or people he felt comfortable with about what he was really feeling. But I think he was always so strong for everyone. He wanted to continue to be that. And that's what I've learned the most, is that even for myself, I've had some major lows, as I'm trying to figure this out and navigate this myself, and I'm very scared to ask for help. And I'm learning how much strength it actually shows when you decide to stand up for yourself and ask for help and finally lean on someone. I know for me, for the last 2 years, I felt like I wanted to get my kids through everything. I want to get my family through everything. And I want to get all my friends and all the fans and all these people that loved our family so much. I wanted to make sure I could carry them and get them through it. And then I realized, well, wait, I haven't taken a moment to also heal myself. And so it's like I'm learning that what he experienced, I want to be an example of now and show other people they can do it. I had dealt with an ex that had addiction problems, and then I realized Steven had addiction problems, and it's something that I kind of have been like, where was I involved in this? And I had to take some steps for myself to realize, like, you know, I was able to help one, and I wish I could have been that for the other. But it's also not my job to do that. There was a moment I was with one of my really dear friends, and we were cleaning out the closet and picking out an outfit for him for the funeral. And it was a really triggering moment for me because there was a lot of things I discovered in our closet that I did not know existed. And it was very alarming to me to learn that there was so much happening that I had no clue. So it was a really scary moment in my life to figure that out. But it also helped me process that he was going through so much. And he was hiding so much, and there must have been a lot of shame in that. And he was wrestling with a lot inside himself, and he was trying to self-medicate and cope with all those feelings because he didn't want to put it on anyone. Because he loved everyone so much. He didn't want other people to take on his pain. But it was very alarming and scary to find those things and have never known. I have been trying to release all this anger this whole time. And I thought for a moment I thought if you would have asked me 6 months ago, I thought I'd released all the anger out towards Steven. And I'm now learning that you're always gonna have triggers. There's always gonna be a moment when I get really sad or really angry or have a new thing I find out and get really confused, or like I said, like an aha moment of like, oh, how did I not know that before? And then I realized that's all a part of healing. And it's about creating tools that are healthy enough for you to get through those triggers. And that's where I'm at now, is I'm trying to make sure, even if I hit a low, if I hit something really hard, I just can channel it and realize it and fix it. One of my really good friends, she was over at my home right after everything had happened with Steven. And she told me I should document everything. And I was like, why would I document anything? She goes, it's gonna be important for you to share your story one day. And so from that moment on, I just randomly would like jot notes in my phone, even though I'd be crying and I'd be so sad. But I was like, this might be important one day. Or even to share it with my kids one day, the experience that we went through. Because my youngers, they might not remember certain details and things. So I started jotting things down, but it is interesting when you're on this healing journey, and the journey that I've been on is things were being discovered or new things, or I was having new aha moments. So I would be writing this book and then have to be like, wait, go back, this is different for me now. Or I just realized this for the first time. And it was kind of like therapy for me. And I looked at myself all the time in the mirror. I was like, wow, like I'm feeling better, but then things are also getting harder with it. So it was just a constant battle with myself. But at the end of the day, I'm really proud that I did it, and I'm really proud of what work has been put out. And I hope one day that my kids can look at it, my friends and family can look at it. I really wanted to come out with this book because I've had so much support around me for years, around me, around my family, and so many people feel like they know who I am, and they look to us and they lean on us. And I've always loved that our family is like kind of this example of love and joy and light. And that is true, and we want to continue to be that, and we really do feel that in our home and with each other and with our friends. But I did think it was important for me to share my full story with the audience, to share that there have been a lot of low times, or I've had to deal with things that have helped me to become the person I am. And I'm still going through things, and they've been really big, dramatic things, and things I've had to really push myself forward with. And I wanted to share that with them, to see that, like, yes, I want to be that beacon of love and joy, but it's taken a lot of hard work, and I've gone through a lot of trials, and I've had a lot of, trauma and grief in my life, and it's been a choice to get myself through it. But I've also recently learned that I can't do it alone. I have to get help from other people. And so I hope that this book can be a beacon of hope for people to see that if you're having a low day, lean on someone, and you can get that help to get better. Have that hard conversation. Have that look at your friend's eyes and be honest with them about what you're going through, how you're feeling, and let them let them carry you for a second. And that's something I'm still learning, but I hope that the book can show you that if you take one step forward and just get to the next day, you're gonna be okay. With our lives being as public as they have been, I had to share the honesty and the truth with my children far too soon, of what happened, what we were gonna have to battle together, and the hard work that's gonna go into us getting on the other side. I've had to have those hard conversations with them already. But I thought it was important because I can't let them be finding out things from unsafe environments. They have to find it out from somewhere they feel safe, which is with me, with this home, with our friends, with our family, with the right team around us. And it's been really beneficial. I wish I didn't have to have those conversations with them. I don't wish it on anyone, which is why this book is important, is I don't want other people to have to go through what we went through. I don't wish that on anyone. And the conversations I had with my children, it was far too soon in their life to expose them to those things. But all I can wish and hope is that they find the light in themselves to keep moving forward, and they don't ever have to be an example to other people, but just for themselves be okay. My youngest, Zaya, she is now 5. I'm gonna have to probably have all these conversations with her when she gets older. But hopefully her brother and sister, now that they are dealing with it actively, can help be a support system to her. So it's gonna take all of us to get through this, and I want them to be the strongest versions of themselves that they can be. I want my kids to remember that they are their own individual self, and that this moment in their life does not define who they are. It is not their forever. It is a part of the story that builds their character. And as long as they remember that, they get to choose what side they sit on. And if they ask for the right people to help them, if they ask for the right support, they can get through this. And then they'll be on the other side. There's been a lot of questions about why I don't post about Stephen. And the truth is, it hurts me to sometimes look back and see pictures. It's very triggering. It was such a beautiful time, but then the stories have kind of turned and changed. And there is some sadness I have for my children. And it's also really important in my healing journey that people start to see me as me without him. And it's really important for people to see my children as individuals without him, because that is the reality now. And it's not that we can't ever honor him, but we don't have to honor him in front of everyone. Because every time I would step out in public, it was beautiful that people would come up to me and feel so connected to me because they've been following our family's journey for so long. But we would get approached with tears and sadness and people trying to hug us and trying to share their stories, which I would try to take on with. So I would give it to me, I can take it. But then I realized the longer people still see us with him, the longer that carries. That emotion, that triggering emotion, because people don't realize that it's triggering for us, but it also can be triggering for a different fan or a different family member or a different loved one. And I need people to see us as new individuals and who we are now in our lives moving forward. And to be honest, I did see the change. The moment my family and I stepped forward and started posting ourselves by ourselves in a new energy and stepping forward, and my kids going back to sports, my kids going back to school, me getting back to work, it has helped change the lightness around us. And it's given us a little bit more freedom to move forward ourselves too, and not have to wear ourselves down with that energy. I decided to take my ring off a couple months after, because I always turn my rings. And I always twist them and play with them. And not even out of nerves, it's just kind of I just constantly am turning my rings and playing with my jewelry. And I would find myself doing it with my ring. It would immediately, even on a good day, I'd be turning my ring and it would immediately bring me back to a memory, or our wedding day, or a memory with our children. And so I had to take it off so I didn't trigger myself constantly. I moved about a year ago. I feel like what I was able to do was let go of some of my darkness and find the light again. And it's not that darkness is something that you can avoid. You're gonna have highs and lows in your life. And it just felt like I was starting to feel so heavy in carrying all these emotions and memories in my last home that were at a time really, really beautiful, but it started to take a turn. That I knew that we needed lighter energy around us, new memories, a new start, new furniture that wasn't holding on to all these old feelings and emotions. And so when we got here, everyone felt like they could take a fresh breath for the first time in a really long time. I know it sounds really aggressive, but it kind of felt like for a while we were drowning in our emotions, which you do need to go through that. If I've learned anything through therapy, it's important to feel all those feels. But this home gave us a chance to like get ourselves out. It was a range of emotions because, you know, we were having to make decisions of even letting go of some pieces of furniture or pictures or clothing and items that maybe had memories tied to them that were so wonderful. And you're having to make all these really hard decisions. But every time I let go of something that I didn't feel was necessary to carry into my next chapter of my new life, it felt like I was releasing an energy with it every single time. And I think my kids did the same thing. We purged ourselves of these emotions, but it also gave us a chance to remember them. And so we could laugh with things, we could cry with things, we would have discussions and talk about it as a family. But it was a really big moment for our family to come together and decide together that we were gonna move forward. I thought it was gonna be very, very hard for me to accept love from someone. I thought it was gonna be so difficult because I was like, am I betraying Steven by doing that? And then I did find love, and I feel happier than ever. I really do. And I'm really grateful that I made that choice to open myself up to it, because it's been the best decision I've made in a really, really, really long time. My love and partnership has a completely different energy and a completely different feel now. It feels like a love that's been lived with before. It feels like this is just our third time loving each other. It feels like it's my forever. It feels like it's my future and my support system. And I have such a calmness about this love. I have such a freedom in it, and I feel so safe and secure. And it's brought out a different side of me that I've never lived from. I feel like I lean in more to my feminine side, and I feel so much more alive, and I feel so loved. And so I'm so grateful that I very hesitantly allowed that to come into my life, because Adam is wonderful. I'm excited for my kids, their futures, and seeing them shine. I can see them laughing again. I see them opening themselves up and trying to figure out their futures and finding hobbies that they love to do. I'm excited about this love that I have now in my life and moving forward with that. I'm also excited that me and Weslie are gonna be having a podcast coming out that we're starting right now. So there's some fun new projects that are keeping us moving forward, and we're understanding that our purpose is to really be there for other people through mental health and being examples to them. And we're kind of taking that head on and accepting that that's our new way of life. And I hope to be that for people. And so I'm looking forward to a new chapter where we can shine again.